Earlier in this course, we studied timbre, the word that explains how sounds differ depending on the instrument or voice used to produce the sound. A violin sounds different than a trumpet or flute playing the same note. Your voice sounds different from another person's voice. Timbre plays an important role in what music we like and what instruments we play. My son Aaron was an excellent trumpet player in junior high school. He had a promising future until, much to his parents' dismay, he announced he would not play trumpet in high school. When asked why this was so, he said he just didn't like the sound. And what's more, it gave him a headache. Why he hadn't mentioned this earlier was probably because he didn't want to upset or disappoint us, but there it was. The beautiful golden Bach trumpet he had played so well was to be put aside as he entered the next chapter of his life. Since Aaron obviously had musical talent, I asked him if he'd like to switch to a different band instrument. He decided he'd like to try the electric guitar, so we purchased an instrument with a small practice amp with which he proceeded to antagonize the neighbors by playing loud rock music in his bedroom with the windows wide open. Barring the angry neighbors, the story had a happy ending. Aaron taught himself to play jazz, joined the jazz band at his high school, and as a senior won the prestigious Louis Armstrong Award given to high school jazz musicians throughout the land. I tell you this story to emphasize the importance of timbre in the music you and your patients might choose to listen to. Musical compositions are arranged for any number of ensembles that differ from the composer's original forces. As an example, listen to the two arrangements of Wohl mir, dass ich Jesum habe by J.S. Bach, which we know in its English translation as Jesu, joy of man's desiring. The first arrangement comes close to the original arrangement as it would have been heard in Bach's church, the St. Thomas Lutheran Church in Leipzig, Germany. The second video begins with a string quartet and guitar arrangement that segues into a full-blown rock arrangement. While this group changes a note and a riff here and there, we still recognize the piece. I wonder what old Bach would think of this arrangement. Would he smile or cringe at the timbral departure from the original? Pause now and listen. Edwin Gordon, noted teacher and researcher in music education, has devised the Instrument Timbre Preference Test. This test is used to help grade school students succeed in an instrumental music program. It has proved that many sexual stereotypes are wrong. Girls can play the trombone and boys can play the flute and enjoy it. Indeed, they may prefer these timbres and stick with an instrument they enjoy longer. For your purposes, when working with children, you should not assume a boy or a girl will like a certain type of music based on their gender. Pause now and scan timbre preferences among children. No need to read it in depth. You won't be quizzed on its minutiae. My daughter-in-law Christina works as an accountant for General Electric, so whenever I see the GE logo or hear GE, I tend to pay close attention. The recent TV ad for GE, beginning with a little girl saying, "Ah," seemed to me at first just another ad using cute kids and a hippopotamus to sell some product. but as the commercial unfolded, I recognized the clever use of the tune from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, which we know popularly as Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee, popularized in the movie Sister Act. If you haven't seen the commercial, pause now and watch Say Ah. I will use this song and the next to enforce what I believe is perhaps the most powerful way to use music with medical patients. The announcer at a high school basketball I attended many years ago began the game by announcing the opening lineups and then said, "Please join the Parker High School Band in the playing and singing of our national anthem." The snare drum rolled, the band played the opening chord, and I began to sing along. By the time I'd gotten to "Whose Broad Stripes and Bright Stars," I noticed that I was the only one singing. The announcer did say sing, I was sure of it. But by the perilous fight, people were turning around and giving me the eye. So I got mad and sang louder and louder, especially on the high notes. I tell you this story to contrast it with our neighbors to the north. Pause now and click on the link labeled "How is this important?" After you resume the lecture, I will tell you how and why it is important for our culture and for your patients. Didn't you just love the way the Edmonton fans sang their anthem? Well, most of them sang. I feel sorry for those who only whistled or yelled, because they missed out on one of the most intimate things a person can do with another person: sing. As I have told you before, I am not a music therapist, but I believe that one of the most, if not the most important instrument in relating to your patients is the human voice. Singing with another person has been shown to increase levels of the hormone oxytocin, often used to induce labor. If you are unfamiliar with this hormone, pause now and read the link labeled oxytocin. As a choral conductor, I see how choirs often form close ties within the group. One choir I directed, a community choir made up of mostly retired folks, was almost like a family unto itself. When one of the group died, the whole choir went to the funeral, often singing at the gravesite. It was obvious that this brought comfort to the family of the deceased and to the choir itself. Please pause now and read the story of Jessica Edwards, a certified music therapist who works with hospice patients in Edmond, Oklahoma.